Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, welcome to NJThrives Small Business Webinars. Today is Thursday, March 16th. You are joining us on our weekly Thursday webinars created to help New Jersey small businesses start, grow, and thrive, brought to you by America's SBDC, New Jersey. I'm your host for today. My name is Uzma Sheikh. I am the coordinator at NJSBDC. And if you are new here, I like to give you a little bit information about ourselves, who we are, who NJSBDC is, what we do. And if you've been joining us on our webinars, if you're one of our clients, then thank you for all your support so far. And we hope that you continue to join us. So NJSBDC, the acronym stands for New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. We're a statewide program powered by the SBA, which is the Small Business Administration, and state partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with three things. No cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one, and exclusive small business resources. Before we move on, if you can hear me clearly, if you can see me clearly, please let us know in the chat. If you cannot, also please let us know, and we'll do our best to help you. What is on the agenda for today? So we have a couple of headlines, news headlines that we like to share regarding our small business community. We'll head on to our webinar, the presentation, and after we'll have our Q&A. So we have about 5 headlines to share with all of you. I'll go through them really quickly. All the links, all the websites that will be seen here will be shared in the chat. So please, for more information, please go to those links. So our first headline is too big for one city, too big for one weekend. The festival only New Jersey could host, North to Shore, June 2023. Now, this is New Jersey's first month-long 3-city summer festival, and this is produced by NJPAC. It will run from Atlantic City from June 7th to 11th, Asbury Park June 14th to 18th, and Newark June 21st to 25th. So these are all exciting opportunities, which means whether it's festival goers, where there are festival goers, there's opportunity for small businesses. Our second headline, we shared last week that there is a cannabis equity grant that opened up. The applications will be opened soon. And there is a eligibility assessment tool that has been released where you can enter in all your information and it will let you know if you're eligible or not. If you want to go to the program's information to learn more, you can go here and it will lead you to this page. And that basically tells you the dollar amount that you can be eligible for, the benefits and the award size, fees, all the information that you need to know. Remember, this is from NJEDA. The next piece of headlines, this is actually good news. So SBA research sheds new light on small business exporters, very relevant to our today's topic. And they have basically said that compared to the predictions, new data shows that number of exporting small businesses are at 1.3 million, and almost 5-fold increase over the estimates previously published by federal government. So you know that there is opportunity there, there is help there, resources there if you're looking to get into it. So good news for exporting small businesses. Next piece of headline is a press release from Governor Murphy announcing package of support for New Jersey entrepreneurs affected by the SVB crisis, which is the Silicon Valley Bank crisis. If you are one of the small businesses affected, then NJEDA has launched a series of programs designed to help emergency assistance to companies banked by SVB. And the last is also good news. It says January jobs report brings more strong labor news for New Jersey, released just a couple of days ago. And it says Department of Labor and Workforce Development released a report that says that a continued positive labor trend to start 2023, as well as revised 2022 figures, give greater insight. And they're basically saying that January started off strong and New Jersey employers increased payrolls by 24,200, with the private sector continuing for 90% of that growth. So definitely good news. Definitely recommend reading into it to see how this affects your small business or how you can use this opportunity to for your small business. All right, so we're done with our headlines and things to keep in mind before I dive right into introducing our presenters and going into the presentation. You will see below that there is a bar. If it's not permanently there, just hover. There's a section for chat and there's a section for Q&A. We want all your questions to go into the Q&A box, because if you leave anything in the chat section, it will get lost with all the comments, with all the links that we share, all the information that we share. So definitely, if it's anything presentation related that you would want our presenter to acknowledge, then I highly recommend going into the Q&A. You know the deal. And if you're interested in receiving the webinar resources, which includes any material that the presenter will share or the presentation, the slides, then please complete the 3-minute survey that will be shared with you. The link will be shared with you. As soon as you finish that, doesn't even really take 3 minutes. You will get the link to a folder that has all the materials. All right. And this is part of our, so today's presentation is part of our introducing NJSBDC exporting series. So that's small business marketing strategies to go global. This is our last in the series, and I have our amazing NJSBDC specialty consultant, Reina, joining us to tell us a little bit about that.
So first of all, this is the last of the series of 5 we've been together. I mean, most of you have been attending these webinars since January, right? Every 2 weeks. And in the first session, we covered the basics of exporting, you know, how to get ready for to take your business to new markets, international markets. And then we talked about how to develop a winning business plan, an export business plan. And then we talked about licensing and compliance requirements, and we had an expert cover those topics, and we learned so much from him. Then we had, of course, securing payments and financing your small business exports operations. So this has been an amazing journey that we've had. I'm honored to be part of this program and to have brought this to you. Today's webinar is like, you know, the perfect way to end this series. We'll probably have them again. I will be the advisor that will be reaching out to you if you request counseling. So the team will be sharing the link to request business counseling in the chat. Sign up if you haven't already. And if you have, please know that I'll be the one conducting a basic assessment with you to make sure that, you know, we understand where you are in your process, and we're here to help you. We're here to help you grow your business and export. So with that's it from my side. I'll be in the chat. I'll be the one monitoring the chat and checking on comments, and also sharing some important links that will be discussed here during the presentation. So thank you for having me and for being with us and you know, staying with us throughout this series. And that's it from my side. I'll be in the chat checking on you all.
Thank you, Reina. And with that, we'll go to introducing our presenter for today. We have Lauren Platz, who is the International Trade Specialist for U.S. Commercial Service. Lauren, welcome. Please share your screen and get to our presentation. Our audience is very excited.
Thank you so much, Uzma. Let me get up my PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. As Uzma said, my name is Lauren Platz. I'm an international trade specialist with the U.S. Commercial Service. So the U.S. Commercial Service is the lead trade promotion agency of the U.S. federal government. We have trade professionals in over 100 cities in the United States and more than 80 countries around the world to help US companies get started exporting or increase sales to global markets. So the US Commercial Service is the only federal agency with an integrated US and overseas markets, overseas offices.
Excuse me, Lauren.
Yes.
Lauren, we're not seeing your slides for some reason.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Let me try again.
Yeah, Lauren, please continue. Go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. Looks like I got automatically muted. As I was saying, this is a map of all of our offices here and abroad. We have over 80 offices abroad, and where we don't have offices, we work with the State Department embassies to help you navigate those markets. So most of what we do is export counseling. It's completely free of charge, kind of like the things I'll be talking about today, and provide market intelligence through the website. We also have services, business matchmaking services, and commercial diplomacy and advocacy that are available for a fee. So we primarily work with small to medium-sized businesses that are export ready, typically in business for about 2 years. If you're just starting out, the SBDC is exactly the right resource to be working with. And if most of the companies we work with have a value of a product or service that contains over 51% US content. We're mandated by Congress to abide by that. And we only assist with exporting. We do not assist with importing. If you have questions about importing, we would typically refer you to the Customs and Border Protection Agency. So market research is the first step in developing an international marketing plan. It's a key piece of export planning, and it's critical to review and assess if a market is suitable for your product or service. So here are some questions that you might want to think about when you start doing market research. Is there a market? Is your product competitive for the section or segment you're targeting after the landed cost of your product in that market? And what is the most efficient export strategy for your product? So you would start with the size of the market and then look for opportunities. Are there products like yours there already? Are there complements to your products there already? Do you have international or domestic competitors in that market? So for a small business, typically you should start looking into 3 to 5 markets that might be a good fit for your product, and then go from there. And you can collect information from 2 different sources. Primary research would be interviews with people in market, maybe at a trade show or with a distributor or a representative, and collecting interviews. The problem with this is it can be expensive. So there's also a bunch of free research resources like databases that can help you do secondary market research. So the first step in conducting market research is to know your HS code. And if you've tuned into other webinars, you might be aware of this already. But the HS code is the Schedule B number. It's used by customs authorities around the world to identify products when assessing duties and taxes and gathering statistics. The first 6 digits are what you really need to know, because those are standard around the world. So the last 4 digits are country specific, so they might differ from the United States to France. And what are you going to use an HS code for? So you might need to use it to classify physical goods for shipment to a foreign country, report shipments in the AES system when the value of your product is more than $2,500 or the item requires a license, export license, to complete shipping documentation, market research, comply with US law, and then determine tariff rates. So tariff rates are important, duties are important when you're determining what's a good fit for your product. We have a resource here called the Customs Info Database, which is the global tariff lookup tool, and I'll be going over how to use it in the next slide. So I have to say, this is not the most user-friendly of databases, but to use it, you would put in your country, in the choose country, and then search for it. And then under the contents tab, there is a drop-down list of HS codes. So you would drill down to your HS code, click the little search button, and then click over to the duties and taxes tab, and you're going to go to the next slide, which kind of shows the result you might get. So this is an example of using the customs info database for looking up imports of cork into Belize. So it looks like for Belize, there's a tariff of 5%, an environmental tax of 3%, and a value added tax of 12.5%. So this will give you a good idea of what duties might be present in the countries you're interested in. The next resource is the U.S. Commercial Services Country Commercial Guides. So this is a comprehensive guide that our commercial specialists in embassies abroad put together for you so that you can better understand the markets when you're exporting to. So one of the sections of it is leading sectors for U.S. exports. So if there's a lot of U.S. exporters sending their products to this market, it might be a good indicator that that would be also a good market for you. So in Portugal, some of the leading sectors are agricultural, aerospace, defense, automotive, energy, ICT, medical equipment and devices, education and training. We also have information on common customs regulations and standards considerations you can keep in mind, prohibited and restricted imports into that country, trade barriers, whether that's tariffs or non-tariffs. And then common entry methods. So what's the best way to get into that market, whether that's through e-commerce, selling factors and techniques, trade financing. It's a really great resource when you're getting started in market research. We also have market intelligence reports. So these are kind of one-off reports of changes in policy or opportunities in a certain market and in a certain industry. So they're also a great thing to look into. One data tool that might be useful to you is our market diversification tool. So this is a resource that Industry and Analysis, one of our agencies here in the International Trade Administration, put together. You'll put in your 6-digit HS code and a market that you're currently exporting to. If you're not currently exporting, just put in a random one and a zip code, click submit, and it'll give you a ranking of possible markets that might have export potential. So it looks like this is for skincare. So it looks like for this HS code, 330410, UK comes up at the top, and it considers, average imports of that HS code, GDP growth, distance, because shipping can get expensive if you're shipping around the world, duties, if there's a language match, because if you don't have the budget for translation, looking into countries that have similar languages might be a key indicator, or an FTA. Is it landlocked, or you're gonna have to pay for transportation costs once you get into that country? And then I know you've already gone over export compliance in other webinars, but it is also something to consider when you're putting together your marketing plan. What are you exporting? Where are you exporting? Who will receive your item, and what will your item be used for? All things to ask yourself when thinking about export compliance. We have the consolidated screening list, which is a good way to answer that who question. And I also have listed some resources to learn more about it, as well as some key regulatory agencies. And by the way, I have a lot of links in this presentation, but you will receive a copy of the slides afterwards, where you can search through them on your own. And then kind of to review, I have these resources that I just talked about listed out. So country commercial guides, foreign trade agreements. We have a page on them where US and select trading partners would provide low or duty-free access, strong IP protection, and greater US exporter input. We have the Global Market Finder, which is a tool by census to find export markets that might be suitable for your product, and country service newsletter. So I actually put together the design and construction newsletter, where we include trade leads, events, webinars, seminars, and trainings, and that comes out probably about once a month. And it's a really great resource for up-to-date industry updates. So when you're going through all this information, what are you looking for? Consistent market growth, industry sector growth, if there's a market segment that is good for your product. So if you're marketing your product towards an older population, maybe a country that has a really young population like Kenya, where the average age is like 25, might not be a good fit. Foreign trade agreements, specific regions to target, demand for your type of product or related products, the presence of competitors in that market, and an environment for your marketing material. Is the cost of translation really high? Does your product name need to be translated? Okay, so you can't really control GDP, and you can't control the political environment of a country, but you can control what the market selection will have on your marketing strategy or the product, price, place, and promotion. So product is two questions. Does your product have export promotion potential in that market? And can it be exported as is, or does it need modifications? Price the best practice is to begin with a market assessment to establish price targets and in-market meters with market intermediaries. So that could be a distributor or a representative to better understand the margin expectations of the participants in developing a price. Place is finding the right distribution model and any legal requirements for that country. And then promotion would be different sales techniques, media choices, and cultural considerations. Okay, so part of the product thing. Before your sale can occur, your company may need to modify your product to satisfy buyer tastes, needs in foreign markets, or foreign requirements for the foreign destination, or legal requirements for the foreign destination. So some key questions to consider. What foreign needs does your product satisfy? Do you need to modify its domestic market product for sale abroad? Should you develop a new product for that foreign market? Are there only some products out of your entire line that you should offer abroad? Will you need to make some adaptations to your labels or warranty? Is cultural differences going to play a part in how your product will be received? And are your company's service and repair facilities adequate? And I'll go into a little bit more detail in the next slide. So as far as product adaptation, I have some examples. Government regulations, geographic and climatic conditions, and buyer preferences, standard of living will all play a part in the success of marketing in that country. For example, in Japan, they might prefer different packaging, body size, and how statures differ across regions. Engineering and redesign, fundamental aspects of products may require changing. So I'll have an example of this on the next slide, but electrical standards can change across countries, or sometimes even have different ones within one country. Instructions on the manual might need to change. Your product is liable if instructions or warnings are not clear. Branding, labeling, and packaging. So brand name and recognition, there might be issues with IP in other countries. Colors have different associations in certain countries. Labels and instructions might need to be translated or feature different pictures. I know, in some countries, what they have on the label is what's inside the product, because maybe not the entire population is literate. So don't be putting babies on your labeling if you're selling there. So here's some examples of standards related issues when you're exporting your product. The picture on the right is of different plug sockets. You might need to adapt the plug socket of your product. On the left is different EU standards for cars. So for example, EU child seats need to be held in place by 3 anchors as opposed to 2. And then pricing. So pricing can be kind of difficult. There's 2 popular methods for pricing your product for export. There's the cost plus pricing versus marginal cost pricing. So cost plus is when you start at the domestic manufacturing cost and add on all admin, R&D, overhead, freight, distributor, and customs costs. But adding all these costs up might lead you to a price that is uncompetitive for that market. In opposition, marginal cost pricing, you start with the price end that the user is paying, and then it considers all out-of-pocket expenses with producing and selling for export as the floor beneath which prices cannot be set without incurring a loss. So this might create a smaller profit margin because you're working from what the customers say, the person in Germany who's picking up your product and what they're paying, and then you're working backwards to your domestic manufacturing costs so that you have a good idea. You don't want to go above that threshold. So some things to consider when you're pricing your product. What do you want to convey from its pricing structure? Do you want it to be a luxury product or a low-end product? How does the export price reflect your product's quality? Is it competitive? What kind of discount and allowances should your company offer its foreign customers? Should prices differ by market segment? And I have a bunch of other questions over here that you can refer to later, but in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of them. But these are all things to look into when you're creating your price sheet. And I have an example here that the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services put together. It's kind of a basic export costing worksheet of things that might go into the cost of your product abroad. So things that might be included: fees for market research, credit checks, business travel expenses, translation costs, commissions, training charges, foreign representative costs, consultants, freight forwarders, product modification and packaging costs, all go into the total per unit cost of your product. And then the next thing, place. How's your product getting there? So you might already be passively exporting, whether in the first two columns, passively filling orders from domestic buyers who then re-export that product, or seeking out domestic buyers who represent foreign end users of those customers. But there are other ways to be exporting more actively. There's two different methods: indirectly or directly. So indirect selling, the export intermediary assumes the responsibility for finding overseas buyers, shipping products, and getting paid. So this could be online marketplaces like Amazon, Alibaba, or an agent or representative on commission. And then indirect selling, the US producer deals with a foreign buyer. So that might be a distributor or to end user selling. So some considerations when you're picking your sales method: your level of resources and budget your company has for international marketing, the size of your company, how risky you can be, resources available to develop that market, opportunity costs, the nature of your product or services, and previous export experience and expertise. So kind of a little bit more in detail about the differences. So a sales representative and agents are pretty much the same thing. They use your company's product literature and samples to present the product to overseas potential buyers, work on commission, they're under contract, but they may or may not have legal authority depending on the contract to obligate to your company. So they might not be able to get it through customs if they don't have power of attorney. Distributors are a merchant who buys your goods and then resells them for a profit. So they would carry a line of complementary goods, provide support and service. Maybe they do inventory, they have warehousing, they have personnel, maybe they install. But because they might carry a lot of goods, they might not have the incentive to advocate for your products like an agent who's making commission on it would. Depends on the distributor and on the agent. A foreign retailer, maybe you want to sell directly to a foreign retailer. So this would mostly be consumer goods, selling directly to a large overseas supermarket, international supermarket, or a stockist. Also putting listings in foreign journals, direct mail. The Direct Marketing Association and USPS have resources to look into that. And then direct sales to end users. So if you're identifying a customer at a trade show through publication, search engines, selling to the government, or using an online marketplace like Amazon. So in this case, you would be completely responsible for shipping, payment, collection, and product servicing. And then the next slide, promotion. So how are you going to promote your product once it's overseas? So perhaps your distributor or your agent would be responsible for that. They can help make forecasts or use media. Maybe they have a website that they put your product on, or they do product demonstrations to potential buyers. Publication in promotion and publications and other medias. Maybe you want to list your product in a foreign journal or magazine. Trade shows, missions, and fairs. I'll get into that in a further slide. State and local government assistance. That's where the U.S. Commercial Service would fall in. As well as resources like the New Jersey Office of Export Promotion and the STEP program, and then website globalization and SEO, site search engine optimization, and using your website to attract buyers. So some things to consider when promoting your product. U.S. organizations that collect personally identified identifiable information should display your privacy policies prominently. A good example of this is EU data protection. They have very stringent regulations on how to protect consumer, employee, and business data. Advertising content. So you should research the advertising laws of your target market before initiating a marketing campaign. The ICC has some really great guidelines on advertising and marketing available on their website. And this could be like if you are advertising to children or have images or sounds that might be IP, or are using lotteries or games to promote your products, they might be regulated in other markets. Good faith. So international businesses rely really heavily on reputation. So it's important to be conducting business in good faith. FTC has a really great guide for US businesses on that. Jurisdiction. The laws and regulations of that foreign market apply to you when you're selling there. So that's something to keep in mind. And then your sales mix. So maybe you are on Amazon, but you also want to find a distributor. You can mix and match your different kinds of promotion methods to find what works for you. The US Commercial Service has a workshop series with Amazon through our strategic partnership called the Global Workshops. And I think there's one more coming up in April. So e-commerce, the US Commercial Service has a page on e-commerce digital strategy. That's useful when you're, figuring out how to globalize your website. So the first thing is to define your digital objectives for your website. Do you want it to be focused towards information or sales? And who's your audience and who are you marketing towards? And then check your website for SEO, search engine optimization. You want to understand how your site is performing. Any keywords that you should keep in mind. How the result page is performing, search engine result page SERP ranking, how high you're going up. If you can fix metadata issues, backend issues through a service provider, then you can really improve how high your site is ranking online. Finding an e-commerce channel that works for you, whether that's selling through your website or otherwise, and then establishing key performance indicators. So benchmark your SEO successes, get feedback from your customers on areas of improvement, and use data to inform management on decisions on how to improve that. Okay, so on to our services. So as I said before, we work with established US businesses that contain over 51% US content in their products and services, but we do offer single company promotions, which are like a promotional event to help raise awareness of your product in a market. We do partner searches where we find up to 5 pre-vetted agents, distributors, and partners. And we can either do the virtual introductions to them or in-person ones in a gold key service. We can check if there's potential for your product in a market through an initial market check. And we also do due diligence on possible partners that you're looking into. We also are very involved in a lot of trade shows. So we partner with trade shows to bring international buyer delegates and market experts for US exhibitors at those trade shows to meet with. We also conduct a couple trade missions. We have a couple coming up with GDEI, and there are a number of other organizations that also put together trade missions and trade shows. If you have an agricultural product, FAS, the Foreign Agriculture Service, puts on a number of these. We have some key events. One of them going on right now this week is Trade Winds, which is our premier event every year. It's taking place in Bangkok. And Discover Global Markets, which take place all over the United States to help US businesses get familiar with foreign markets. And that's it for my presentation. So we have 2 offices in New Jersey, one in Northern New Jersey, and then one in Central and Southern New Jersey where I am located. You're welcome to contact us if you have any questions or want to learn more about our services. And that's all. So thank you so much.
Lauren, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump in here and I want to ask you, I don't see questions here, but I want to just clarify. Can you, since you shared that slide at the end, and you are divided into two regions, how are you divided in the counseling services that you offer? And along those lines, can you give us a profile of the types of businesses that you service in terms of size or industries? Could you shed some more information on that so we know how you service the exporters in the state of New Jersey? Uzma's here, so go ahead, Uzma. You take it away.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Feel free to answer. Please go ahead.
Okay. Well, as I said, we have 2 offices. We have 3 trade specialists in the Northern New Jersey office, and then 2 in the Central and Southern New Jersey office. And we typically will split up by industry. So I personally cover energy, environmental technology, design and construction, agribusiness, food and beverage, and education. And then my colleague and director of our office covers a number of other industries. And then whatever doesn't fit into those categories, we'll split it by county. So we cover all industries. We service all industries, all types of companies. The only requirement is that you are an established business, that you have a product that is export ready. So maybe you've already made some domestic sales, you're commercialized, and that your product contains or service contains over 51% US content. So that's when you add up the value for the product. And so long as over 51% is US made, then you would qualify. Does that answer your question, Reina?
Yes, it does, but it brought up another question, and I'm taking advantage of the fact that our audience is kind of quiet today, which is very unusual. So certificate of origin, do you recommend a specific organization, or how would you recommend people go about getting that certificate of origin? So the 51% composition that you want to see, how do you evaluate that?
So we typically ask for self-certification as to whether you hit that 51%. But if you're looking to get a certificate of origin to export, I would contact your local Chamber of Commerce. New Jersey Chamber of Commerce has a webpage on that you can contact, and they can, I think for a small fee, draw up a certificate of origin for you.
Thank you. That answers my question. Go ahead.
Got it. Thank you, Reina, and thank you, Lauren. That was a great presentation, so thank you first of all for that. Have a couple of questions, not that many, so I think we can, we highly encourage our audience, any questions that you have regarding the presentation or just in general regarding exporting, you're interested in opening up a business or getting started on the exporting, so please feel free to let us know. So I'll go based on the time that we received them in the order. So we have a question from Edward Gordon. Thank you, Edward, for the question. He says, I am a leadership development coach and training. Are there guidelines I need to follow based on the type of services I provide internationally?
So you export leadership development services?
I think so.
Okay, well, there's regulations in every market, and I would say particularly the data protection ones would probably apply. Of course, that differs country to country, so I would recommend drilling down to the markets you want to target first and then figuring out what regulations might apply to you. Also, with business professional services, sometimes you're going to have a lot of competition in those markets because we might look for a local presence for someone to do that. So determining a market that would still, be accessible to you and you wouldn't be competing against too many people would probably be a priority first.
Got it. I hope that answers Edward's question. We have a question, I believe, from Donald. I'm not sure, Donald, if you're asking us, the NJSBDC team, or you're asking Lauren, but I'll please feel free to clarify. So Donald says, hello, Lauren, we have international trade show opportunities located in the USA. Would your team assess value to participate and help pay for costs? Then we would also look at international shows overseas or in Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, so we do have a number of trade shows that we do work with that are internationally focused and that we bring delegations to. But as far as costs, I would recommend reaching out to the New Jersey Business Action Center Office of Export Promotion. They manage the STEP program,
Yes.
STEP, and they are a grant program that helps eligible businesses. I'm not sure about their eligibility criteria, but they can help pay for some trade show costs and help you, help you put together an export plan too. So that might include trade shows. They're really helpful.
Perfect. Yeah, got it. And the NJBAC is a partner of ours, one of our major supporters and partners. So it would if you're looking to go to their program, speaking to our audience, if you're looking to go to their programs, ask for their counseling, let them know that you attended one of our webinars, and they recommended that you reach out to them. So that definitely helps to act as a referral. And then moving on to the next question, Ricardo asked, "Hi, do you assist with only business-ready businesses? I own an existing business, but I do not currently export and I am interested. So do you only assist with export ready?"
For our paid services, yes, we only assist with companies that have a product that is ready to be exported. However, in terms of like export counseling, if you have specific questions, we're always happy to answer those.
Perfect. Thomas asks, "Are there any costs to using your services?"
We do have costs, and we base our fee structure on SBA small business guidelines. So it's a structured fee structure. So a small business would have smaller costs for like a gold key service, which would include in-person introductions in that market. That's $950. So they're not substantial, and the STEP program can help offset some of those costs if you qualify for them. But again, that's only for our feed services. A lot of what we do is just export counseling that we provide at no cost.
Gotcha. Hope that helps. And you're popular, Lauren, so I hope you can display your office information or contact information really quickly. I
Yeah.
recommend to our audience that you take a picture of it, because that won't stay on for long. So please take out your phone and take a picture of this so you can contact Lauren's team, any of the offices here, Newark and Lawrenceville. This slide, just as a reminder, this presentation will be available to you once you complete the survey. So this slide will be included in that presentation. Just FYI, in case, reminders are best. And we'll move on to next question. A follow-up from Ricardo. Could I export products that my business does not currently sell as long as I have been in business for over 2 years? I ask because my products are perishable.
Wait, can you repeat that question?
Sure. Yeah. So Ricardo asks, could I export products that my business does not currently sell as long as I have been in business for over 2 years? I ask because my products are perishable.
If you're asking if you can export products that you don't manufacture, we can work with companies that are legal representatives of another company, so long as you have a license to export products for them. As far as perishable products, you can absolutely export perishable products, those refrigerated shipping containers. If you're a really great resource for exporting food and beverage products is the Food Export USA Northeast, and they can help, FAS too, the Foreign Agriculture Service. They have a lot of resources on how to export perishable food products. I'm not sure if that answered the question.
That's okay. We can have Ricardo, if you're interested in receiving counseling on this, we recommend that you please reach out to us and let us know that you in the assistance box or in any of the written, anywhere that you have to write what you're seeking assistance with for NJSBDC, please let us know that you attended this webinar and you would like assistance with Reina, and she'll be able to help you. That's only if you'd like to receive counseling, but no pressure. We'll move on to Mame Mensa. I want to start a business that exports wine to Ghana. If I wanted to ship my own container, what permits, etc., would I need?
That would be a question I would have to look into for you. The USDA's Foreign Agriculture Service, their website has a lot of information about regulations specific to certain agricultural goods and certain countries. That would probably be a good resource to start looking into that information. And yeah, I would, it's very, I can't pull that up off the top of my head, but yeah, I could look into it too if you could send me an email.
Perfect. Okay. And have you shared your email? I'm not sure. If you haven't, can you please?
I could put it in the chat.
Yes, please. Thank you. And then we'll move on to the next question once you have. There you go. So everyone, Lauren just put in her email address. Please, we ask that, not everyone bombards her inbox with questions, because if there are any matters that we can help you with, NJSBDC, Reina can help you with, we're happy to assist. But yeah, Lauren just put in her email address. We'll move on to Richard. Richard asks, the EU bans a number of food chemicals, additives, and pesticides and GMO-produced foods. Many of these items are allowed in the US. Is there an office that lists all of the chemicals, herbicides, additives, etc. in the EU if we wish to export a specialty food product?
Absolutely. I, don't want to refer you to something that might not have it, but our country commercial guides, if agriculture is the leading sector for the EU or a specific country, would have a list on where to find the specific regulations for that country. Also, as I said before, USDA FAS has a listing of regulations specific to EU or that country. They have GAIN reports, GAIN, which are really comprehensive reports on opportunities, growth, as well as trade barriers like regulations that are specific to countries. And I wish I had could pop a link in the chat, but I can't pull it up right now. But yeah, the USDA FAS has great resources for looking up those regulations.
I inserted the link with the one that you shared with us regarding the country commercial guide, so they can actually go into the country commercial guide and start the research there.
Yeah, perfect. Yep, there are a total of, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4 links. So if you look into our chat, then you can see that there are links for export plan, and then assessments, commercial guides, research center. We'll try our best to make sure that this is also in our materials, webinar resources that are shared. And last question, Angela, is from Angela, and Angela asks, do you also help with imports? Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. We unfortunately do not assist with imports. We are only exports. But if you have import-related questions, you can always reach out to the Customs and Border Protection Agency. They are the one-stop shop. Unfortunately, they don't kind of do the hand-holding assistance that we do, but they do have a lot of resources that can help you answer your questions.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So that definitely concludes our Q&A that we're having for this webinar. Again, if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to Lauren. Lauren has shared email right there if you go into her chat. So thank you, Lauren, so thank you so much, first of all, for your presentation. It was a lot of information. I hope that's beneficial, useful for our audience. Thank you for coming. Thank you for doing this webinar for us. And thank you, Reina, always for, helping us put together this exporting series. It's been so useful for all our audience. Can definitely, from the past 5 events that we've had, if our audience lets us know in the survey that we do that they need more information, then we'll continue to do more exporting series, we'll add on to it. So thank you both for all your help.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Reina.
Great having you here today.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I'll finish off here with our webinar. If you are interested in receiving no-cost counseling, please take out your camera. There's the easy, accessible QR code here for you to scan. It'll be there on in later slides if you don't get a chance to. But I'll just like to remind you that we do have upcoming webinars. There is one next Thursday on March 23rd. And it is part of our tech series. So the name of the webinar is Grantsmanship and Proposal Writing for SBIR/STTR. This will be with one of our NJSBDC tech consultants with Cheryl Vickroy. Same time as usual, 12 to 1:30 p.m. And then you can scan there to register, or you can go to our Eventbrite page and you can register there as well. Just a reminder, we've helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow. Again, no cost small business consulting, training and events, just like this one, starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. Please visit njsbdc.com or any of our socials. We share our updates, we share our announcements, we share our events there. So definitely go check out our pages. All right, that's all from me. And all from our webinar today. Thank you so much for visiting. Thank you so much for all your support. Have a good day. Bye.